Hey guys, Jason here with Metal Mastermind. So we wanted to bring you a two-part series. This is part one, and this series is geared towards helping you as a rock and metal musician earn some income off your music. Take it to that next level. Now, if you're already at that level where you're seeing some things happen, this series rather, is also going to give you some different ways to diversify your income streams. So that's what this series is all about. Part one here, we're going to be talking about how to use YouTube to create these streams of income and what some of these streams of income are. So real quick, some context. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jason Stallworth. I am the co-founder and co-owner here at Metal Mastermind, the education platform and community for all rock and metal musicians. I co-own this platform with Ken Candelas. Now, some of you may know this already, but Ken Candelas is also an instructor at the SAE Institute, and he invited me on for a Zoom session here with his class to talk about these things. So we're going to kick off part one here with some YouTube strategies for you. So you might want to get a notepad out and take notes during this session here. I hope you enjoy it. I've been a wannabe entrepreneur since about 2010 and didn't really break free from that until about 3 years ago when I left my job.
Yeah. So, Jason and we have quite a bit of a long history since about 2016. That's when we first met. And ever since, we've always been kind of very close in how we've operated together. He's a metalhead. I'm a metalhead. We both founded Metal Mastermind. Jason, actually, do you want to tell that story? How we started all of this with Metal Mastermind together?
Yeah, I'll tell the short version. And again, guys, my name is Jason Stallworth. Some of you might know me from a YouTube channel, maybe not. There's millions of people on YouTube these days. But Ken and I met in a class. We actually took a course by Leah McHenry called Elite Savvy Musician Academy. We were her first elite students. She started this program for people who were really serious and dedicated to doing something with their music at that next level. And it was an expensive course, Ken, if I recall. I won't say how much it was, but it was one of those things like, okay, are you really going to do this? So him and I both met in the course, though, being fellow lovers of metal music. We just started talking one day, and we decided to start a YouTube channel. It's like, you know what? We didn't know what we were doing. We had no clue. I had already been on YouTube for quite some time, and we decided to start something together, and we started doing live YouTubes with no audience. But we took the first step, and this is probably a good point for everybody, Ken. Sometimes you just take the step of action and you keep doing and keep going and pushing until you break through. And, I think at some point we decided to start doing courses. We just decided to start developing courses. I'd already been creating a guitar course called Metal Riff Master, and decided to put that on the platform and test Metal Mastermind with that course. And it just kind of snowballed with more courses after that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as a full-time YouTuber now, what's a day in the life of working for you?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a full-time YouTuber. I only have about, I say only loosely here. I think I'm right at 61,000 subs. But you got guys and girls on YouTube that have millions, right? You got like people like Rick Beato. I think he's 2.5 million, something like that. You got Glenn Fricker and Ola England and all these guys. And you all probably watch folks on YouTube that have hundreds of thousands and millions of subscribers. So I don't get paid a full-time salary from YouTube. And this is a great point for all independent musicians. When you're jumping out there to do something, you want to create multiple streams. I never encourage anyone to just focus on the one stream. The old way of doing things, and I think Ken has probably talked about this in class, was get that record deal, and you'll get all the fame and money and all that good stuff. And that does happen, and it can happen. And I don't want to say don't count on it, but, go for that. But in the interim, also build other streams, and that's where things like creating courses come in. That's where things like getting on YouTube. YouTube is great, and I'm not getting paid from YouTube to say this. I'm not a YouTube rep or anything like that. It's just my experience. YouTube is great because you can build an audience that way. You can build a specific audience, right? And people, in marketing we call it the attractive character. I'm not saying all this is attractive, but you're the attractive character in marketing. And that's the thing that people fall in love with. We create good products, right? I created a great course for guitar players, for metal guitar players. They love it. However, they're not really buying the course. It's harder for me to sell my course to somebody that doesn't know who I am. But if they see a YouTube video or two of mine, it's a no-brainer. I'm getting the course. So you create that persona and you create that relationship with people. And I think YouTube, personally, just my opinion, is one of the best platforms for that. All the other platforms are great too. You know, you want to get out there and make those connections with folks, but they are buying as you're creating your music and as you're creating, you know, great music and other products surrounded by that. They are really buying into you, into who you are, and how what you do resonates with them. So that's a big takeaway from that.
So, then in your experience, how often do you need to be actively building this kind of content for an audience?
You know, I mean, I don't even look at it as work. I probably create 2 videos a week now for YouTube. But then, you know, Ken, you and I are creating YouTube videos for Metal Mastermind as well. So, and my wife and I, we have a channel too. So we're doing some travel and, you know, stuff like that. Our Doxy, he got his nails done the other day. So that's on YouTube now, right? So it's crazy what people want to watch. So, but for my channel, I create about 2 videos a week. I think it's good in the beginning. If you're just starting YouTube specific, you want to build your audience based on what people are looking for. Like who's your audience? You know, who are the type of people that you want to attract? And you have to create content that's catered to solving problems. All marketing is, in any sense, is just solving a problem for someone. Is having a product or service that's going to fulfill that need for someone, and you've got to put the right message in front of the right type of person. And that's your marketing plan in a nutshell. So I do think it's good to take what I like to call massive action in the beginning. You know, there's a story of, you know, the rocket ship taking off or a plane taking off. It takes a substantial amount of energy to get that thing going. Once it's in the air, it's taking some energy, but it's kind of gliding at a point, right? So I think in the beginning, you take massive action. You put as much content as you possibly can out there. And I don't care if it's you in the studio making music or sitting on the couch with your dog or your cat does something funny. I mean, the content needs to be relevant, but put other stuff out there as well. Because remember, you're the attractive character. People are buying into you. And the more you show of yourself, your true self out there, they're gonna love your music as well. They're gonna love what you're putting out there at some point. But it does take time. It's definitely not an overnight process.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I've explained to my class quite a bit about what branding is. And does anybody want to let me know what do they remember that is important about branding? What is important about branding? Trust. Trust. Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
And you know, Jason, you've built a brand over several years now, and of course, you and I are also building our own brand. But what have you learned about building your brand and the people that follow you?
Well, the one thing I've learned is that when you decide to do something and you really want to do that thing, you have to make the decision up front that you will do this no matter what. And I'll tell you the very short version of my YouTube journey. It took me 10 years to get my first 10,000 subscribers. I started in June 2010. I know I'm old. And then June 2020, I hit the 10K mark. That's a long time. And I saw other YouTubers. Now, I wasn't taking things as seriously back then, right? But other YouTubers were just, you know, thousands and hundreds of thousands of subs. And of course, I started to take things more serious. I had one video. It was called Metal Guitar for Beginners, and that one just for some whatever reason just took off, and then the channel started growing, and it doubled in size every year thereafter, which I'm hoping it does it again this year. So so that's the one thing I'll say is consistency in what you're doing, because if I had to turn back the clock, I would have been much more consistent in taking it serious. But you only know what you know when you know it. right? So you can't beat yourself up for that. You have to look at today and move forward and learn. And you know, so a friend told me a long time ago, there's a reason why your windshield is so much bigger than your rearview mirror. You've got to keep looking forward and learn from, you know, the mistakes or things you would have done differently and push forward with that information. But that's the journey. So that's the biggest thing I can tell you is be consistent and do not give up. Like I don't care what's going on in your life. Do not ever give up on your passion on what you want to do. In that, what I've learned about my audience is your audience, they will tell you what they want. They will tell you what they're looking for, and listen to them. You've got your music. Every one of you are creating music, which I applaud every one of you for being here right now, listening to me and being here with Ken, because it means you're serious about what you're doing. A lot of other people have goals and dreams, but they're just that, they're ideas. You guys are sitting in here because you want to do something and you want to do it in the music industry, whether that's producing or creating your own music, whatever it may be. So I applaud you guys for that. But you learn a lot about the audience. Really, I learned about a lot about myself through my audience, but they will tell you what they want and they will answer the questions for you. If you have questions on, and what should I do? What kind of music should, you know, what should I do with a song? What do you guys think about it? What do I sound like? One of the things Ken and I learned is like, well, we're talking about micro niches. I know Ken's been talking to you guys about that. What is your niche? Like, what is your micro niche? Well, throw one of your songs out there or a short clip and then ask your audience, hey, can you give me 3 bands this sounds like? A lot of times it might come back as stuff you're like, huh, I don't sound like that, but they're telling you, right? And that's your audience. So that's one of the biggest things I've learned from my audience is they will tell you, they'll support you, but they'll tell you exactly what they're looking for. So those are good points to listen to.
Absolutely. Jason, while we're on the topic of YouTube and all this kind of stuff, I was actually wondering, would you be open to sharing some of your analytics and how you maybe do some strategic moves around how to do YouTube? We're going to get into Facebook ads later today.
Oh, sure. That's a lot of fun.
And you are certainly the expert more so on YouTube, and I wanted to know if that was okay with you, if you were willing to share that.
That is perfectly fine. I'm actually going to my channel now here. I guess there's probably a way to share my screen.
Yep, I'm giving you permissions right now.
Awesome. Okay. And by the way, guys, this is just water. It is not vodka. I promise. All right. So here we go.
And I'm sure mine's is just coffee and not Irish coffee.
All right. So here are the stats. And you know, let's just share. I love transparency and I love giving away information. So let's just take a look at the analytics here. So I've got 61,000 closing in on 62,000 subscribers. And the reason I say transparency is you can look at the income, look at my estimated revenue if you guys can see that from the past 28 days. So you can see that from YouTube ads, these are the Google ads, I make anywhere from 700 to 800. The holidays are a little bit more. Verify it's you. Hold on, guys. Sometimes this happens. I don't know why it's happening now, but it is. So
in the meantime, while you're figuring that out, do we have anybody have a question that they want to ask?
Yeah.
Anybody off the top of their head or Aaron?
When it comes to YouTube, do you find that shorts are a good marketing tactic to get people to watch like the rest of your content?
That's a very good question because the YouTube Shorts is new, and I'm going to share my screen again, guys. So that's I think I'm good now. I never even found my password, but yeah, that's a good question. I personally, and I don't want to give an emotional response, but I like long form content. Everybody hated shorts when they first came. It was like, oh my God, why are you doing this? But it's one of those things in marketing, you can't get emotional about that. But to answer your question, I think they want you to do shorts. I always look at it as the platform. You want to do what the platform wants you to do. So if they're pushing something, you want to go in on that. However, what I would tell you though is do not let the shorts overshadow the long form content if that's what you're building on YouTube. So I would ask you this question: what is your core purpose for your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is mostly just music, artists that I work with, and anything that like my company films, I'll put it on my YouTube channel.
Awesome. Okay. No, is that answering questions for folks? Is it solving problems, or is it more of an entertainment kind of behind the scenes type of thing?
It's more entertainment.
Okay, okay. So I think shorts are great for that type of content because a lot of times, that type of content, a lot of times they want to see it, it's right there in your face. So they want the shorter version of that. Now I believe you can be monetized for shorts. I don't put enough shorts. I'm glad you're bringing this up because I'm kicking myself now. I need to do more of that. But I think it's a good strategy though if you're creating maybe one or two long form content videos a week and then maybe a couple of short form content or as much as you can. I honestly don't think you can put too much. One of the things I found out about YouTube, it's title and thumbnail, and I don't know how important the thumbnails are for the YouTube shorts, but the titles are almost everything, and the thumbnail, I mean, that matters with shorts too. Again, I don't do as many shorts videos as I do long form content because the long form content seems to bring in more revenue for me with the watch time and all.
Gotcha.
Awesome. Jacques has a question as well.
I wanted to ask more about top cards and like wanted to know like how effective are they and like in terms of placement of time, like what is the best point to like showcase the top card, like at the beginning, at the end, in the middle, like, or is it related to the subject matter?
And I'm sorry, I didn't catch the first part of that. What are we placing?
The top cards.
Oh, the cards. Okay. So what I do, let me show you analytics real quick here. So if we go to YouTube analytics, by the way, this is the YouTube studio. This is extremely like important and helpful. You can see like the latest video I put out, and I'm getting to your question. I just want to show you guys this real quick while I'm here. Can you guys see my screen? Is that back up now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So this video, the last video, ranked 2 out of 10. So if I hover over this, it shows me at this time of all the other videos, the recent videos, the first 3 days and 2 hours, it shows me in comparison how this is doing. So this other video above it, you can see is doing was doing a little bit better at this time, but this is really good. So I like for videos. This tells a good story. You can look at your titles and your thumbnails and kind of get an idea of what people are wanting to watch and what type of content to make. It shows my views are up here. I'm glad I have this example and not one that's not ranking at all. That would kind of suck. So I got a good one to show you guys. But you can see, though, you can compare it to other. Average duration is down a little, this little down arrow here. It shows me my typical there in the middle, right? So that's not good. So what I would want to do is go, and this is kind of answering your question, part of your question, looking at analytics here, is go to that section around the 3-minute mark where people are starting to fall off. And I would want to see, what am I doing? And those are good places to put cards, because if you want them to watch the video, you don't necessarily want to distract them with something else. Now, a good YouTube strategy is when you're presenting something, here's your video, and then maybe towards the end of the video, after they've watched the majority of it, it's like, by the way, the next video to watch on this topic is right here. So you give them that direct call to action. In marketing, and another thing we learned is people, they need to be told what to do. We all do. You can have an intention. You want someone to perform an action. They watch the video. Well, they oftentimes won't perform that action unless you call it out and tell them to. So what I like to do with cards, especially for longer videos, hey, I'm talking about, let's say, a set list. I've got one video on how to get started playing live solo acoustic gigs. This is part of what I do as well. It's a complete tutorial, 30-something minutes long. So there's certain points where I'm talking about certain things like a set list. By the way, if you'd like to see a deeper video on the set list, how I put that together, click up here, and then they can go watch that if they want. and they may leave your video to go watch that video, but it's a very specific and direct call to action. They may not. In any case, they stay on my channel, and more importantly, they stay on the YouTube platform. You can send people to someone else's channel. You probably don't want to do that all the time, but you can send some people to, sometimes I send people to the Metal Mastermind channel if the call to action on that video is relevant to that. But YouTube likes for people to stay on the platform. But to answer your question, though, usually I look at my videos. Let's take a look at the analytics on this specific video here. Go to analytics. And of course, this hasn't been out that long. So we have a bigger story here. It even tells you how much money you've made on the videos. This video has been out for a few days. It's made $10, right? So that's good. That's coffee in New York, right?
Yeah.
This video. I'm in Florida. It's only like $5 here. I've gained 26 subscribers from this video already. That's pretty good. But you can see the typical performance in the gray area here. Hopefully you guys can see that, and you can see the performance of this video. But let's go to engagement here. And I encourage you guys to get into the YouTube studio and look at reach, look at engagement, look at your audience. So again, this shows me a little bit deeper level of the performance of the video. It's above the typical performance. So hopefully it continues this trend. It shows the average duration. So which it's saying 22 seconds more than usual. So around this point, though, again, I would go back to the video, and see where I need to place a card. And I'll tell you another little trick that I use about the 2-minute mark in almost every video. I'll have them go to a video where I want them to perform a certain action. Some people just get bored watching videos, right? That specific video, they may be a subscriber, but it may not quite be for them. So at the 2-minute mark, I'll have them go to a very popular video and you can find that out based on your analytics. And I'm going to show you something else real quick here too. But I'll have them go to a very popular video around the 2-minute to 2-minute and 30-second mark. Because again, not everybody's going to watch your video all the way through. Some people want to leave early. So that's just a little bit of information I've learned along the way. Let's see. What I want to show you guys real quick is we'll go back to the home dashboard here. And when you click on analytics here, I love this because this gives you the 28-day view here. And you've got all the same thing. You've got reach, engagement, audience. We won't go through each of these because I really want you guys to dig into your own channels. Now you know where this is. They have an app for this too, by the way. I like to look at the desktop version here. And I learned this from Daryl Eves. He's one of the core YouTuber guys out there. I like to go to the last 48 hours and just see what people are looking at here. So I'll go to see more. And this pulls up a different screen here. This kind of shows me what's trending and what has the potential to trend. And internet's a little slow for us. I feel like I'm on dial-up. All right, here we go. So this is a little bit deeper dive too. You can see the last 48 hours here on the left side of my screen. This breaks down the viewers. Then it shows you the views last 60 minutes, which is ridiculous. So that's pretty cool. The video I was telling you guys about earlier, Metal Guitar for Beginners, it's right there still on top in the 48 hours, right? So that one is on top. This one's number 2. This thrash metal galloping riff exercise, I exclude that mentally because it's new. And I expect new videos to be there up in the ranks within that first, within that 48-hour time frame. So anything new, but all these other videos that you see are kind of old. This tells you a really awesome story about what kind of audience you have. What are they watching, right? What are they, and you can oftentimes go back to videos like some of your best ones and watch it again. Maybe you left some things out. Maybe try to make a better version of that. You don't want to keep repeating the same video over and over, but just see some areas of that video that's doing really well. What are some things that maybe you didn't cover, and maybe make a video on that. Read the comments in there because people always have questions. I try my best to respond to all the comments still. It's getting to the point where I can't do that every day, but Learn from your videos, especially the ones that are doing well. Why are they doing so well? That's what you always want to ask yourself. Why are people still watching this metal guitar for beginners? Well, there's a lot of people just starting out. That's another tip I'll give you guys. If you're making how-to type videos in your genre and your music, there's always going to be a beginner audience. In fact, when people get to the intermediate and even advanced level, we get a little snobby. We're like, well, we don't need to learn anything, right? I mean, we're all in class right now, we're learning, but you know what I'm saying? We get a little like, well, so I say that to say this: beginners, there's always a market for beginners. So if you're, whatever genre you're working at, if you want to get other musicians involved in watching your content, and a lot of times other musicians will be your biggest fans. I mean, I have a metal guitar channel. That's primarily what I play. So it just kind of makes sense, if you have a hip hop channel or something like that, right? If that's your music or it's country or whatever, maybe you want to make some content behind the scenes on your gear, and you'll start attracting musicians to that's in that genre. And again, a lot of times they will be your biggest fans, and a lot of times there will be new people wanting to learn because you're putting content out there that's answering their problem. It's their solution to what they're looking for.
Now, Jason, I also want to kind of tag on to that because in addition to doing YouTube, you're also a blogger. And this is something that you tie back to your YouTube channel quite often, is it not?
Yeah, I blogged for a long time. I still have a website called themuscleprogram.com. It was a more like kind of a fitness style channel. And I spent a lot of time on that, and it just never really took off. And I kept spending more time on it anyway. And I got to the point where I'm like, you know what, my real passion is music. And I was trying to, there's an old saying, if you chase two rabbits, you won't catch any. And I was chasing two rabbits while working a corporate job, so that just wasn't working out too well. But all that said, blogging can be another source of income for you, and it can be another place where you give a call to action. I don't know if you want to go to our site, Ken, or my site or something like that. If you want to see that, I don't know how deep you want to get into that. But I can show you just some quick stats, really quick here. Blogging, and it's changed over the years, but it's all about, well, everything on the internet is about SOE. Okay. So it's all about SEO. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. Search engine optimization. You want to give people what they're looking for. That's what Google wants. Google wants, when people type in how to do this, or melodic heavy metal, or a certain subgenre of hip hop or rap or country, whatever style music you guys do, Google wants that person to find the best possible answer. So always keep that at the forefront of your mind. It's like, okay, my content needs to be what Google is looking for. It needs to be able to serve people. So that's a very important hint on both video and blogging. I don't, Ken and I, we've been blogging for Metal Mastermind, and I haven't been blogging as much lately. But and we probably need to start back. So I'll just show you some quick stats just so you can get an idea. There's one more thing I want to show you guys on YouTube as well. And it's kind of, so I'm going to go to the back end of my website here. Anybody, how many folks use WordPress? Do any of you have your own websites with WordPress?
I don't use WordPress, but I did use Wix before.
Okay.
Yeah, I think most everybody here is probably going to be experimenting with Wix for their assignment.
Okay, cool. Perfect. So Wix will probably have better analytics than WordPress does. Just being honest, I have a buddy that uses Wix as well. So what I'm showing you guys is just some stats for today. Okay. Like YouTube. And again, I think Wix's layout is much prettier than what you're looking at here. But like the YouTube channel, and you can go to WordPress.org and see deeper stats and that sort of thing, but you can see the traffic I've gotten today. I don't know if you can see that tiny little bubble, but I've gotten 178 views today. Okay. Yesterday was 259. Wow, it was a good day. Valentine's Day was 223. Man, people were supposed to be going on dates, but they were reading my blog post. So, and it shows you my my top post, you know, for today here, which is beginner's guide to equipment needed for playing live acoustic gigs. Again, I started playing acoustic shows. That's kind of my side gig, I guess you could say, 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm like, well, I need to make content on this. One thing I encourage you to do is always double, triple, quadruple down on capitalizing on your craft, on your art. So if you're out there playing music somewhere, you got a live show, hey, film it, repurpose that. And some of you probably do that as well. You repurpose that. If you're doing something in the studio, repurpose that into a how-to. So again, this is a beginner's guide to equipment you need for playing live solo gigs. I knew people are typing that in. So I'm like, well, I'm doing this. Let me share this. And that's how I always approach things. Let me do a video, a blog post, put as much content as I can into it. This here is an opt-in, and I want to show them this, Ken, in a second. That's an opt-in to where they go sign up for my free guide. I give away, and Ken and I do this too. We give stuff away in order to hook people in, to get them as part of our community, and then we upsell them after that. So that's just it's a marketing strategy that will probably never change. It's always been around. You give something away, you put the hook out there, and of course you give value. They see the value you're giving away. It's like, oh, if they're giving this away, the product must be really awesome, you know? So in any case, though, you can see, and again, Wix will probably give you a much nicer overview of this, but you can go in and see what blog posts are doing well. So this tells you, and these are really old blog posts, by the way, all these are old. This tells you what to write about if you want to blog. And I love sitting on my patio just blogging sometimes with a couple of beers. That's like the perfect day. Ken, I want to show them this opt-in page real quick here, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it would also be helpful for us to also dig into a little bit of some back-end Facebook stuff just to see.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because we're going to be doing that a little bit later too. So to see what you're doing is something I think that will be insightful.
So I'll show you this opt-in page. This is, let's see if it'll take me there. So you see this here. I give this away. This is it's called Metal Riffs and Licks, the Ultimate Metal Guitar Practice Guide, version 2, because I upgraded it. My call to action here, when you're writing a call to action, you want a fourth grader to be able to understand it. A lot of times, we think, well, I need to sound more intelligent, need to, sound more sophisticated, whatever. But in marketing, and this works every time, the simplest you can make it, that's what's going to always work best. So you get free is like right there. So they see free Metal Guitar Practice Guide with tabs and video. I'm telling them exactly what they're getting. Because it's a free guide, I don't really have to try to convince them at this point. We reiterate that here, right? Join below to get your free copy, and just guiding them along process. And here's what you get when you join. I've got just some real simple bullet points. My guide, of course, you'll get that. My weekly lists. I send out weekly emails. What I do on those emails is, hey, it's Metal Guitar Friday, hope everybody has had a great week, that sort of thing. But then I'll pitch my courses before you catch up on this week's content. If you haven't got one of my courses, because we have paid courses, I'll pitch that to them, because not everybody goes through this and buys the first time. And then after that, I'll place the YouTube videos that I've put out that week. So that sends traffic back to YouTube, and it just keeps this, this cycle going of people, diving into my information and my content. Community always gets people. Ken and I, we have a community for Metal Mastermind as well in Discord. So people love to feel like they're part of something, and we truly make them a part of that. So they join here, right? So this page gets a lot of views, and here's why. Let's go back to YouTube. What we're going to do is we're going to go to edit mode here for this video. And what's good about YouTube, and you guys may or may not know this, you have default settings where you can have a default, so you don't have to keep copying and pasting links. You can have a default description. So I leave that as is, unless it's a completely different video, because sometimes I do put other stuff out there. And all I do is I add this top part here to that. So let me scroll down when this stops thinking here. So my default settings. So here's where my default description starts right here. Keep playing music, Jason. So my call to action is Metal Riff Master, and I give this call to action in the video as well. Hey, if you haven't taken my course, I've got courses down here. The links are right there. I do have a Patreon, so if the video happens to have it happens to be a lesson like this one, I give that call to action as well, because I give my Patreon supporters extra stuff. Another stream of income: YouTube, Patreon, courses, your albums, right? You know, everything that comes with that, blogging. So now you see where we're going with this. Affiliate marketing, that's something we could get into maybe in another session, Ken. But there's so many streams of revenue. Playing live, there's so many streams of revenue, and I want and maybe you guys are already, some of you are doing that, but I want you to always know that you shouldn't just focus on one thing being your music. Yes, that's, you know, again, you don't want to be chasing stuff all over the place, right? But with that one thing, with your music, there are multiple paths, there are multiple streams that, you know, that you can just spend a little bit of time with each week and achieve some good things from it. But what I want to show you real quick is here, right here. I give this away. And I play around with my call to actions in the videos. Some videos I'll say, hey, be sure you get my free practice guide if you don't have it yet. And for those videos, I'll move this up towards the top. So that's the first call to action. I put all this other stuff in here, so did this there. Typically, and I'm a little conflicted by this at times. I think a lot of people are, but typically you want to give one call to action. If you give too many calls to action, they don't know what to do, and they won't take any action. They'll just move to the next video. So this video actually has 2 calls to action because it is a lesson. So I am advertising my Patreon to get the backing tracks and tabs. And one strategy I use for that is I don't mention Patreon much. I'm like, hey, if you're a Patreon supporter, you get the backing tracks and tabs. Make sure you check that out. Make sure you get those. There is a link in the description, and I leave it. And because I don't talk about it anymore, people are like, well, wait a minute, I got to find out what this is, right? Sometimes if you keep talking about things over and over, it's just barely putting it out there, and the people that you want as a customer, the people that are really interested, they're going to dig for it. They're like, okay, he just said that. I'm pausing the video. I got to go check this out. So that's a marketing tactic as well. But I also give the call to action for my courses. I always do that because this is the guitar courses I have out there, which are under Metal Mastermind. They're part of Metal Mastermind. That's the core of how I make my living. I never thought this would be possible. See, my generation, we were taught to go to school, get those good grades, and go get a what? Go get a job. You know, nothing wrong with that. And then retire someday when you're too old to enjoy life. So I decided later in life to take a different path, and I'm so glad that I did. But in any case, back to this, you can see all the calls to, these aren't really calls to action. They're just links I have in here for folks, right? I've got my shop. I wrote a book in 2017 called Heavy Metal and Weights. That's on Amazon. Again, another source, albeit a small one, another source of income, right? So we've got merch here, all this good stuff. So the reason I love YouTube so much over other social media platforms is because you can give calls to action and you can give those links. You can do that in Facebook, but to me, people are on Facebook and Instagram scrolling oftentimes because they're bored. They go on YouTube to find a solution to their problem or to be entertained, right? In a more of a long form way. And I'm not speaking ill against the other platforms. You can't really be emotional about the platforms. I just know that YouTube has produced results for me. And that's where the majority of my very little results. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm even on TikTok. I post on a regular basis, but just to be out there. And a lot of times I'll just repurpose small parts of my YouTube videos to do that, just to lessen the work. You guys can even set up a PayPal. I've got PayPal. Buy Jason a beer free. There's the PayPal link. So again, these are all sources of income. One, and I'm not trying to boil the ocean and give you guys too much, and I don't want to overwhelm anyone, but one more call to action, a source of income we just touched on. I'm going to show you this page real quick. This is the gear I use. And sometimes in some videos, like for my acoustic live videos, right, giving tips on how to do that. Well, I don't want to send them to my metal guitar stuff because they may not be interested in that because they're watching that video. I will tell them about my gear page. Hey, if you want to find out all the gear I'm using, go here. So we'll go there real quick. So here's my gear page. This shows all the gear I'm using. Now, the reason I am sending them here, here's my disclaimer. I'm a proud affiliate for Sweetwater. Now, Sweetwater has to reach out to you for this. However, you can be an Amazon associate. I'm still an Amazon associate. And you can make money off of them. They're going to buy the gear anyway. You might as well show them what you use and where to get it. So if someone clicks on this link right here, this is the PreSonus Studio One Pro 5 I use. These are KRK Rockets, you know, the SM7B microphone. If they click this link here, it's going to take them to sweetwater.com. And I apologize if I'm going through this slow, but if you don't know what affiliate marketing is, since they clicked on that link, which is a special link, right? And they purchase this product, then I get commission for that. That is about the most passive income that you can get. So think about all the equipment you use on a daily basis to record, to play music with. If you have songwriting tools, all of those, you can be making a little bit of revenue off of those. So you could have a gear page on your website. Here's everything I use, and just have links. Again, Amazon, anyone can sign up for Amazon Associates. Hey, they have a demo on here. I had to pick that up. Cool. I love when they have demos on Sweetwater. So in any case, I wanted to show you that real quick. I really hope you found this session helpful. I want to give a big thank you to Ken Candelas and the SAE Institute for allowing me to come in and talk to the students here. And a huge shout out to all the students that you saw in class here. These folks are just like you. They're pushing everything to the next level. And if you're still watching this video, I'm assuming you're in that boat too. You really want to take your music to that next level and do something great with it. We are here to help you do that. Now, speaking of education, you guys may know this already, but those who don't, we do have courses on metalmastermind.com. So just go to the link in the description of this YouTube video. We've got everything from guitar courses to mixing metal courses to music theory to vocal to metal songwriting and more. So there's a link again in the description of this video. And guys, drop us any questions that you may have from this session here. Remember, you can always go back and watch this again. I hope that you took some notes. If you didn't, hey, go back, take some notes, and drop those questions in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Guys, as always, until the next video, create your own sound.